Welcome everyone to Pontos Fathom Hobbies. This is our setup video for the GF9 DUNE board game setup phase. So we're going to try to do a simulation playthrough with all 8 factions. So the idea here is I want to set up a 8-player game and just kind of prepping myself, refamiliarizing with the rules, and seeing if it's feasible to play the 8-player game, and coming up with the house rule for it. I'm sure there's lots of house rules out there. If you guys have played an 8-player game and have a video out there, send me the link in the description. That'd be great. Also, if you like what we're doing here, like or subscribe. As you guys know, the GF9 DUNE is based on the original Avalon Hill board game from 1979. I think I played this in 1979. I was probably in 5th grade, 6th grade. 5th grade. I probably played this in 6th grade with my friend's older brother, and my friend and I and the older brother, we played the original Avalon Hill DUNE game, and at that time I had just been familiarized with the book. I think my parents bought me the book, so I've got a copy of the newest edition of it. As you guys know, the movie's coming out. On my other channel, Pontos Fathom Press, I'm doing some month-long DUNE podcasts where I'm going to talk about DUNE, some of the inspiration for Frank Herbert's Bene Gesserit concept of other memories, and also some of his concept for the Butlerian Jihad in the works of Samuel Butler. Also, Frank Herbert's influence by Carl Jung, which is a very interesting story there. I'm going to have a couple podcasts about that, and also doing some research into the DUNE inspiration. So if you're interested in that, you can check out Pontos Fathom Press, link below. Also, want to support the channel, DUNE Revenant. This is the 20th anniversary hardcover edition of DUNE Revenant. It is a fan fiction 7th DUNE novel that came out in the late 1990s, hardbound for you. It was an internet child of the old Usenet days of the internet, and before the prequels and the sequels. This was a fanish attempt at a DUNE 7 in the tradition of Frank Herbert. So this is also going to do some reviews and reads through on this book from the other channel. So check it out in the link, and you can also support us by Patreon. Okay, let's get into the setup. So I've got the quick start guide here. I've got the Ixion and Tleilaxu expansion rules and the rule book. So maybe we'll start out. We'll do a quick introduction to the houses and the initial setups and their strategies, and we'll talk about what their initial setups on the board are, and we can kind of go through them one by one. So you can see I've set up, there's only 6 official units on the board. I've just set them up to start with. I've got the turn 1 token in here. I've got the phase sequence of play token here to track that. Left all the cards set up in the top. I can give these cards a quick shuffle as we go through them. And one of the things that we'll be doing is we'll be going through each of the factions, each of the houses. We'll set up their tokens on the board and their setup conditions, and we will get trader cards passed out, any other special pre-game conditions by a house, and we will set the storm for play 1, and then we will we'll end this video, and then we'll move on to our turn 1 and officially do a playthrough. Okay, so let's do a quick run through of the houses here. First of all, we've got the just kind of go through in any order. We've got the Harkonnens, led by Baron Harkonnen. The Harkonnens, led by the decadent Baron Harkonnen, the master of treachery and cruel deeds. The strategy, your major handicap is difficulty in obtaining spice, but they also are very good at treachery, right? So they can carry 2 cards for every one that you bid for, and you can have a little bit higher advantage than most. So this is where Harkonnens lie. Maybe to set up on the board while we go through each one of them. The start card here says Harkonnen forces. Maybe I'll read from the main book here. Harkonnen forces start in Carthag, and we'll go through this. Our Harkonnen forces start in Carthag, and they start with 10 spice, and they have free revival of 2 forces from the Tleilaxu tanks. Okay, so what we'll do is we'll take our Harkonnen forces, place them on Carthag, and our initial setup is all set. Okay, so let's move on to the next one, the Tleilaxu. Okay, the Tleilaxu, see the Masters Council, led by a small council of Tleilaxu masters. The fanatic, xenophobic Tleilaxu were tolerated because of their useful genetic engineering superiority. You are handicapped by having no presence on Arrakis to start and only a small amount of spice until you begin receiving spice from your rivals. You will have to bide your time with other factions, waiting for you to gain the spice and giving your face dancers a chance to suddenly strike. Use your ability to cycle through face dancers during the Mentat phase to position yourself with potentially more useful face dancers. So in Dune, the Tleilaxu were the sort of the bioengineers, and they also were the Mentats. So anything that has to do with sort of like a transhumanism also. So they are able to create Golas, which means resurrecting the dead through the Tleilaxu tanks, and also the Mentats. So the start of the game is all of their forces are off-world, and they have 5 spice. So we've got their 5 spice here on their card. We've got their master tokens here. And let's move to the next one. The next one is the Atreides. So the Atreides with Paul Atreides is led by the youthful Paul Atreides, Muad'Dib, the rightful heir to the planet, gifted with valiant lieutenants and a strange partial awareness of the future, but beset with more powerful and treacherous opponents. You are handicapped by the fact that you must both purchase cards and ship onto Dune, and you have no sources of income other than the spice on the planet's surface. This will keep you in constant battles. Since you start from Arrakeen, you have the movement advantage of 3 from the outset. Your presence allows you to avoid being devoured by the sandworms and helps you to get some slight head start of the spice blow. This means we can look at our spice card before the turn starts. So that's one of the advantages. In addition, you can gain some slight advantage over those who you do battle by foreknowledge of one element of the battle plan. So before the battle, the Atreides can ask their enemy one detail from their card. Again, going to the rule sheet, the Atreides set up with 10 forces in Arrakeen and 10 in reserve off planet, and they start with 10 spice. And they place the Treachery and the spice decks near their position so they can manage those decks and they can reveal. We'll just leave them in place at the top of the board, but they do get the chance to look at the first card. So let's go ahead and give them that setup on Arrakeen. They've got their forces here, and they've got their 10 spice, and they've got their 10 forces on Arrakeen. I will add one more force. I just took 9, so they've got 10 spice and 10 forces on Arrakeen. Okay, next up are the Bene Gesserit. The Bene Gesserit, Mother Mohiam. The Bene Gesserit sisterhood, represented by Reverend Mother Gaius Helen Mohiam, ancient and inscrutable, carefully trained in the psychological control and genius of achieving her ends through the efforts of others. Your major handicap is your low revival rate. You must not allow large numbers of your forces to be sent to the Tleilaxu tanks, or you may find yourself without sufficient reserves to bring you onto the planet. Your strength is you have the ability to win by correctly predicting the turn another player will win. In addition, you can be quite effective in battles with voices. You will bide your time by casting subtle innuendos about those who you have picked. So they have the role where they can act as advisors to a character. They can live synchronously with the other factions as an advisor. And as they do that, that gives them certain advantages. So let's read it from the manual. In addition to prediction, after step 1 in the setup, they can predict the factions. I'm just going to do that heads up. They also can have 1 force in the polar sink and 19 forces in reserve, and they start with 5 spice. Whenever any other faction ships forces onto Dune, you may ship one force free from your reserves into the polar sink. You may ship normally, of course. So they can piggyback sort of on other people's troop movement. So they've got their force in the polar sink, and they will kind of go through the prediction. So let's just set up their prediction. They also have their 5 spice. So let's just say they're going to predict that the Harkonnens win in turn 5. So we'll keep this a secret, simulated for the Bene Gesserit. That's their secret over there. Okay, next up is the Fremen. So the Fremen, planetologist Liet Kynes, represented by the planetary ecologist Liet Kynes, commanding fierce hordes of natives adept at life and travel on the planet, and dedicated to preventing any outside control when bringing about Dune's own natural regeneration. Major handicap is poverty, unless you can't purchase treachery cards for several turns, since you'll be outbid by others. You must be patient and move your forces into a vacant stronghold, avoiding battles until you are prepared. When you do battle, you can afford to dial high and sacrifice your forces, since they have a high recovery rate. Your game plan will be to bide your time and wait for accessible spice blow that no one else wants in order to build up your resources. And they start, let's go to the rule book again. The Fremen start the game. 10 forces distributed as you like on Siege Tabar, False Wall South, and False Wall West. As long as 10 forces in reserve, they start with only 3 spice. During shipment, you may bring any or all your reserves for free into the Great Flat, or onto any one territory within 2 territories of the Great Flat. So as they can just ship freely into the Great Flat. They can just bring their forces right down there, and that's free every turn. So during movement, you may move your forces 2 territories instead of 1, and they also may ride the Shai-Hulud. Okay? If no faction has won by the end of the last turn, and you or no one else occupies Siege Tabar, Habanya Siege Tabar, and Habanya Siege, your allies win the game. So let's take their 10 forces, and let's just distribute them. So they have their 3 spice. Let's give them, let's put 6 here on Siege Tabar, and then just to break things up, let's put them 2 on False Wall West and 2 on False Wall East, and position them to collect spice. And then they can bring some more in from the Great Flat, so we can kind of chase the storm maybe the back way. Let's see how that works out. Okay, then they have their Stilgar and Chani various characters. Okay, next up is the Ixians with Prince Vernius, the cyborg Prince Rombar of House Vernius leads the Ixians, masters of manufacturing technology. Only they know how to deploy. You are handicapped by having weaker forces in the half-strength suboids, which make up a bulk of your forces. You have no regular source of spice income. However, tactical placement of your hidden mobile stronghold can position you to acquire spice left behind on the planet. You also have the advantage over other factions because you know what treachery cards are in play, and you can mix in or suppress certain cards during the bidding phase. So they get access to the treachery cards up front, and maybe we can get to that next. They have their forces on the mobile stronghold, and let's have them plan to place the mobile stronghold. We'll put them here in the meridian. Okay, that's where they're going to start. Just kind of space them out there in the meridian. And they've got their 10 spice, and we'll get to the start of the game when we do the treachery cards. They get a chance to take a look at their Treachery card first. Well, maybe we'll just get that out of the way right now. So let's just look at the Treachery cards. So let's just we'll do the Treachery cards last because we're going to place all the people first. Okay, so next up after the Ixen, Spacing Guild. So the Spacing Guild, Edric. The Spacing Guild represented by Steersman Edric in league with the Smuggler Bands, Monopolists of Transport. Your major handicap is your weak array of leadership and your inability to revive quickly. You cannot buy Treachery cards at the beginning of the game. You are vulnerable at this point and should make your stronger moves after building up your resources. The players do not ship at a steady rate. They will have to fight on the surface. Your major advantage is that you can ship onto Doom inexpensively and can ship from one territory to another. This mobility allows you to move. If the game is already strongest players to weaken them, prevent a win until the end of the round, the victory is yours. Okay, so the other detail of the Spacing Guild, I believe, is that people pay payment for shipment. When other factions ship onto the force, the payment goes to them instead of the Spice Bank. So the shipping of forces onto Dune from other houses gets paid to the Spacing Guild, not to the Spice Bank. That's a big advantage for them. And they also can ship their forces 1 spice for 2 units. So that's a great advantage for them. And lastly, we have the Emperor, the Imperial forces from the Emperor. So, Emperor, His Majesty the Padishah Emperor Shaddam IV, keen and efficient, yet easily lulled into complacency by his own trappings of power. Your major handicap is you must ship all your forces at the start of the game, and often this move requires a battle before you are prepared. Even though you do not need to forage for spice, you are quite subject to attack since you are likely to concentrate on the cities and mobility it gives you. On the plus side, you'll never need spice badly since the bidding will keep you supplied. Okay, so at the beginning of the game, they need to ship their forces in. So they start the game with their forces off-world, as we can show you again in the rulebook. Emperor, start with 20 forces in reserve, start with 10 spice. Bidding, whenever the faction pays spice for a Treachery card, they pay it to the Emperor. So the bidding phase, the money goes to the Emperor. And that is that. Okay? So that is all the factions. I think what we'll do next is we will let's set up the trader cards. So at the start of the game, everyone gets 4 trader cards, but the Tleilaxu don't get a trader card. What they get to do is look through all the other trader card discards, and then they can pick from there. So, so we shuffled the trader cards. We'll give them another quick shuffle. The Harkonnens everyone gets dealt 4 trader cards, and then they can decide which ones are for them. Harkonnens get to keep all 4 trader cards. Tleilaxu do not get a trader card, so let's just pass them out like this. 1, 2. Skip, and then 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so put these back, and let's take a look. So, Spacing Guild. Okay, they've got Ixion, powerful Ixion. They've got Thufir Hawat. I think the Spacing Guild will take that as their card. So now we're going to keep this discard pile here for the Tleilaxu to pick through. Fremen next. They have a trader of 4 among the Tleilaxu. Hidar Fen Ajitika. They will keep that one. Harkonnens will take a look, but they get to keep all of theirs. So they have Chani of the Fremen. They have Cheap Hero, Aliyah. Wow, maybe they really will win by the Bene Gesserit prediction. That's pretty pretty powerful. Two strong cards there. The Bene Gesserit looking for a trader. They've got an Ixian, a Fremen, and then an Imperial. Well, I think they'll go with the big one. Fenring from the Emperor is their pick. Discard. Let's go to the Atreides. The Atreides have Duncan, Idaho, Guild Rep. Oh, this is cool. They've got Princess Irulan as the trader, which kind of works because she's like loyal to Muad'Dib. This is fun. You know, in this game, I feel like the it's not so much about flavoring text, but it's about the situations, right? So you can already see that this situation kind of reminds me of the book a bit. So I think it's sort of like, if you know the book, it kind of makes it more fun in a way, because as you know, Paul marries her, even though Chani's his mate. Okay, so now for the Emperor, we have kind of I think he'll go with a Spacing Guild trader as opposed to the Tleilaxu trader. I think that's the best one. Maybe they can win some favor there. So these will go into the discard. The Ixians, lastly. By all means, they've got the Lady Jessica Atreides. What a great trader to have. So Ixians have that trader. Now the Tleilaxu can pick from these trader cards. We've got Ixian, Harkonnen. We've got a Fremen, high ranking with a high level Ixian. Okay, so it really comes down to I think they're going to go with this Fremen trader. I think that seems like a good one. Okay, so they get to pick their trader from those. We will return these traders into the deck. Give it another shuffle here. Okay, next are the Treachery cards. And again, this is another start of the game before Treachery cards are dealt. Draw one card for each faction, and then choose one to keep for the Ixians. So the Ixians get to keep from our initial draw from the Treachery cards which Treachery card they will pick. So I'll just give it a cut, and we will do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 for the 8 factions that we're simulating here. And let's take a look at, we've got Shields, Cheap Hero, Poison, Truth Trance, Shield, Family Atomics. Wow. Well, that's so fitting that the Ixians would have it. They are going to take Family Atomics. Well, they will do Family Atomics, and they will try to get over to the shield wall. Okay, then we will shuffle the rest of these. Again, that's a great biding time play for the Ixians, and it's powerful. And it will, when the Family Atomics goes off, we get to use this. The shield wall destroyed, which fits into this space like so when it's played. So it's kind of cool. A cool board game design. Okay, so these have been shuffled, and we'll just pass them out to everyone else. So initial Treachery cards for everyone are set. Last step is a rule out of the house expansion. It is the tokens, tech tokens. We've got the 3 tech tokens here, the axolotl tanks, the highlighters, and spice production. So the axolotl tanks is the way the Tleilaxu regenerate the dead. So the axolotl tanks goes to, at the beginning of the game, they go to the Tleilaxu. So they control the axolotl tanks. Now the highlighter is the ships that are used by the Spacing Guild. However, they're of Ixian creation, so the highliners go to the Ixians. And then finally, spice production. the Masters of Spice Production goes to the Fremen. Okay, and that is the setup. I guess we could go ahead and just do the initial position of the storm before the first round of storm. So I'll take the battle wheels and I'll give them a turn underneath and just kind of move those. And we come up with a 15 and a 5. So 15 and 5 is 20. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. Wait, I think there's 20. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Okay, so it's going to move to here because there's 18 spaces. So the storm will start here, and then we will do the first round. Okay, so we've got the battle wheels to initiate the first storm. We've got the cards set up, and that is the setup. So please go to the link maybe over here or over here, and we'll move into simulated play turn 1, and we'll go through all 8 factions, the 9 phases of play, walk you through a round of that, and we'll keep doing it until it's over. Like I mentioned on the other channel, Pontos Fathom Press, if you like what we're doing here, like and subscribe. Happy to hear your comments if I set up something wrong or if I missed a step. Definitely check out my podcast coming up on Pontos Fathom Press about the Dune series if you're interested. We're going to get into some really deep topics on Dune. And also support the channel by clicking on the link for Dune Revenant. It sits nicely with your other Dune books. It's a fan fiction, but it's kind of cool. And we're also on Patreon, where we're going to be doing lots of other game mods, gameplay, and lots of content there. This will be Dune month, so we're going to be covering Dune gameplays all month. And also the other channel will be covering Dune. So check it out, and we'll see you on turn 1. Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.